Alrighty, so we have Damir Ismagulov versus Rafael Alves. So Alves had a pretty embarrassing start to his UFC career. Missed weight by like 11 pounds or whatever. He's moving up to his weight class that he should be at. He has been finished in all 9 of his losses. Generally doesn't go to decision in his fights. Damir Ismagulov, on the other hand, in his last 10 fights, 7 have gone to decision. And one of those fights that didn't go to decision was because of an injury. So, he's not a huge finisher, even in the regional scene. But yeah, it is what it is. Ismagulov, bigger guy, he's got a 1-inch height advantage and a 6-inch reach advantage, which is pretty handy. He's also coming off a 21-month layoff, nearly 2 years, hasn't fought. Not sure why, but good to see him back because he is a legitimate prospect. Alright, so we'll break down the striking of these two. Alright, so for Rafael Alves, he is very explosive, throws a lot of flashy kicks, puts everything into all of his strikes, he's not looking to outpoint you, he's looking to put you out pretty much. You know, when he's at kickboxing range, he's mostly just one and done. He's gone for just one of his kicks that he likes to throw, or just like an overhand right or something like that. He doesn't set up a lot of his power shots, and most of his offense is power shots. For Ismagulov, on the other hand, I'd say if I could compare him to anybody in the UFC, I would compare him to Peter Yan, and you'd have a pretty good understanding of how Ismagulov fights. He's a boxer, he's got good counters, good distance control. At distance, he's got very fast hand speed, and he's always striking in combinations, so I don't feel like I'm too far off with the comparison to Peter Yan. And as I said with Alves, a lot of his stuff is power shots, so the overhand right, heavy straight right, big right hook, or big left hook when his opponent closes distance when he's in the pocket. Ismagulov, on the other hand, he's looking to use his jab quite often. His jab is his rangefinder, he'll use that quite frequently early, sets up a lot of his shots with his jab, so he'll look for the counter 1-2, counter 1-2-3, or he'll just throw the 1-2 and the 1-2-3, just at distance. His strike and entries are ever changing. He won't, throw the same strike twice in a row, or he won't use the same angle twice in a row. He's always looking to change his angles, change his combinations. He's pretty good on the feet. For Alves, he kind of just follows you around the cage. He's looking to, put the pressure on, but he doesn't really cut angles or, cut off the octagon at all, really. And Ismagulov does have a nice spinning back kick. He'll throw it to the face or the body, and I feel like that could catch Alves quite frequently because he is pretty predictable with his movement. Also, he's going to be scoring a stance quite frequently if you're moving laterally on the cage. Yeah, so a few things that Alves does that I'm not huge on, or that could get him in trouble in the future, is that he doesn't check leg kicks. I think he's lost a fight getting finished by leg kicks, and he still doesn't check them. So, yeah, kind of concerning there. For Ismagulov, he will leave his lead hand low at times in the pocket, and Alves could catch him with one of those overhands and put him out, absolutely. He does have a bit of power. In the grappling department, Ismagulov, he will look to level change if the opponent gets too over-aggressive. He will try and drive a double into the fence. Once he gets you on the fence, he'll look for a double on the fence or turn it into a single and then run the pipe from there. He does telegraph his double leg entries at distance. Like, when he's just striking and then he goes for a double leg, he won't set it up with anything and he will shoot it from a little too far away. Alves does have a nice guillotine when opponents do shoot a double on him, so Ismagulov does have to watch out for that if he wants to wrestle at all. And in the clinch, Alves does have a nice hip toss. That's how he gets a lot of his takedowns. So yeah. How these guys win fights. So for Alves, he's always dangerous, always able to finish, always explosive, keeps that explosiveness for 15 minutes, always has the ability to pull out a sub if you're on top or if you're going to shoot a takedown on him. Just very dangerous guy. For Ismagulov, he's got good cardio, good pacing, doesn't take unnecessary risks, which is what you like to see if you bet on a guy. He doesn't, he won't pull guard or anything. He's very calculated in there, and he won't overextend himself, go chasing the finish. I think he's just pretty comfortable with, what he does and how he fights. And he has good takedown defense himself, so I don't see Alves getting him down. Alright, so how these guys lose fights. So I'm going to have to nitpick for Ismagulov because he is very good and his record does state that. But it would probably have to be the grappling tendencies or his wrestling tendencies. He might have improved those in the time off, but, just when he's offensively wrestling, he does leave himself open for submissions. For Rafael Alves, his pace does slow after 1.5 rounds. He does slow down. He keeps that explosiveness, but the pace just slows. He gets very low volume after 1.5 rounds. And if you do get him on the mat, you can control him. He can be a little too comfortable off his back. So, yeah, I don't expect Ismagulov to wrestle here, but if he does, he could control him on the mat, probably, in my opinion. So jumping the gun a little bit. So path to victory for these two. So for Ismagulov, look to have constant forward pressure, keep him on the outside of the 2 octagon lines. I don't mind a little bit of wrestling in round 1 just to take the explosiveness away a little bit, take the pace away a little bit of Alves. Just got to be mindful of the guillotine when you shoot. At distance, look for the low calf kicks. He doesn't check them. But yeah, for Alves, look to throw your own low calf kicks and look for that guillotine if he does shoot the double leg. But look to slow the pace of the fight down. So use a lot of feints. Try and keep him off you. Try and nullify the pressure or reduce the pressure of Ismagulov. Just use a lot of feints to slow the fight. Just because I believe he does have the pacing advantage and the cardio advantage, so you're going to want to slow this fight down. Alright, so how I see the fight playing out. Alright, so, it's a bit of a mismatch here. I think Ismagulov is a few levels above Alves, and I think they are punishing Alves for that weight miss. That's what it looks like they're doing. I like Ismagulov. I think he's super solid, has really nice hands, very few flaws in his game. I don't think he's lost a round in the UFC. He's, hasn't faced the best competition, but Thiago Moises's pretty decent. 30-27'd him pretty easily. Wasn't in too much trouble in that fight at all. Yeah, but I think he might get a finish in this one. His first finish in the UFC. Alves has been finished 6 times by submission, 3 times by KO. He's been finished in all of his losses, as I said before. But yeah, I think it's going to be another KO loss here. I think he's going to force it out of Ismagulov just with his aggression. But yeah, Ismagulov naturally isn't too much of a finisher, but I do think Alves is going to force it out of him here. I do think the only way Alves wins if he lands one of those crazy kicks or crazy bomb, but I just think Ismagulov's range control is just too good, so I don't believe he'll get himself in too much trouble here. On the feet, Ismagulov just pieces him up and counters the huge actions of Alves with just simple boxing combinations. I don't think Alves will be able to get him down. I think if anyone's going to be able to implement the wrestling, I think it'll be Ismagulov, actually. Alright, so let's have a look at the betting lines. So the prediction is Damir. I do think he gets a finish in this one. He hasn't been too much of a finisher in the UFC so far, but I think he's going to finish Alves. All Alves' losses are by finish, so I do think he's going to get finished again here. And, I think the money line is about correct to favour Ismagulov around 85% of the time, and that might seem a little high, but I think it's just a bit of a mismatch, honestly. And I didn't mind Ismagulov as like a parlay piece at like $1.30, but I think it's getting a little too juiced now. Probably not worth the juice right now. Maybe if you got back to like 125, then maybe I'd take another stab at a parlay piece. But yeah, not at the moment. What I'm looking for though is Ismagulov inside the distance. I'm kind of hoping they bump that price up a little bit just because he hasn't got a finish in the UFC yet. So I'm hoping for like $3 or plus 200. I doubt I get that price, but that's what I'm hoping for.